but I got some video.
We have Larry. Okay. Good morning. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings are being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed in the Toronto City Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry. When your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. We acknowledge the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with sections 45 and 53 of the Planning Act, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto is called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw, permission to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consent to sever property to create new lots. Anyone in attendance today who wants to receive a copy of the decision of the committee on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and the T-Lab will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email. If you do not agree with our decision, it may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some limited circumstances to the Ontario Land Tribunal. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. Today's hearing procedure is, I will call each item in the order listed on the agenda. Where an application is uncontested, the agent or applicant will proceed with her presentation if required. The committee may ask questions and/or take the matter into committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. I will comment when you are reaching the 5 minutes. When addressing the committee, please state your name and address and confine your remarks to the matters outlined in the application. The applicant or agent will present the application to the committee first. Please note, the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals at the hearing today. If the application is substantially revised, the committee may decide to defer it to ensure the revised application is accurate and all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then, individuals in support of or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker. When all other speakers are finished, the applicant agent has an opportunity to rebut issues raised by the speakers. This will mark the end of the discussion. The application will then be taken into committee for a decision. Can we confirm the minutes of the last meeting? Do I have a motion to confirm the minutes?
Through
Yes,
you, Mr.
Yim.
Chair. Yeah, it's the October 20th set of minutes, AM and PM.
Yes. Okay, Yim, you make the motion to confirm the minutes?
Yes, I make
Seconder?
motion for approval for the minutes.
All right, we have a seconder? Nimrod, thank you. All in favor of confirming the minutes? Minutes are confirmed. Are there any declarations of interest of panel or staff on the morning agenda? Okay. Are there any deferral requests, Madam Deputy Secretary Treasurer?
Through you, Mr. Chair, item number 10, 1687 Bathurst Street. A sign was not posted, and the applicant would like to make some further revisions.
Okay. All right, so we will deal with that once we've finished here. Are any files to be closed?
Not for today.
So let's go to item number 10.
So it's 1687 Bathurst Street.
Right. Mr. Plummer?
Hello?
Mr. Plummer?
Yes, I'm here, Michael Plummer.
Okay, so you're asking for deferral?
Yeah, we're requesting deferral just to work with the adjacent neighbor on some comments she had with the proposal.
Okay, plus the sign was not posted?
Yes, so we spoke to the neighbor and realized that we wouldn't have time to get revisions done before this hearing, so we didn't bother posting the sign. We just need time to resubmit for a new zoning review.
Okay, all right. Danielle Goldstein, please.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Danielle Goldstein is not on the line. Do you want me to give her a call?
Yeah. Mrs. Goldstein, Mr. Plummer, on behalf of the owner, has asked for a deferral, and I assume you've been talking to him, and he says he needs more time to discuss the matter with you, perhaps change plans, etc. So do you have any objection
Yes.
to a deferral?
No, I am on board with a deferral of the application so we can work together as neighbors to solve any issues.
Thank you. Okay, panel?
Thank you very much for calling.
You're welcome. Panel, do we have a motion for a deferral? Yes, Nimrod.
Yeah, I'll move a motion to defer the application.
All right, do we have a seconder? Yim, all in favor of a deferral? You have your deferral, sir. Thank you very much. Now we go back to number 187 Manning Avenue. The purpose of the application is to alter the existing 1.5-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a complete second and third story and a front porch. Also to reconstruct the 1-story rear portion of the dwelling into a complete 3-story rear addition with a walkout basement, a rear ground floor deck, and a rear second and third story balcony. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, correspondence from planning and transportation, and 7 form letters in support from Manning and Euclid Avenues. C.G. Su.
Yes, ZQ is on the line.
Yes. Okay. So there is some opposition, so perhaps we need a presentation from you, sir. Could we have your name and your full name and your address, please?
ZQ and then 187 Manning Avenue. We are proposing a full second story addition and third story additions with a stair walkout from the back of the basement. And soft landscaping exists current conditions, so there are no variance needed. And then we even have more green space than before. And the house is maintained as same as the neighbors, like the neighborhoods, same characteristic. As per the support documents, there are other 3 stories buildings in the neighborhood, and then also we have the chat with the neighbors, and we got 7 support from the neighbor, and then so far I haven't noticed any oppositions to the application when we talk to the neighbors. But we are welcome to just hear it from their concerns, and then we can adjust it if needed.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions? Okay, so let's move to Lena Lynn.
Through you, Mr. Chair, Lena Lynn is not online, but Bruce Chow of the same address is.
Okay, Mr. Chow.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I just have a few suggestions. My name is Bruce Chow at 185 Manning Avenue. So I want to start off with variance number 2. The rear second story balcony is located 0 meter from the south side lot line. So could it set back like 0.9 meter, because it's basically like touching 185 Manning, and anyone on the balcony will eventually have a good view of the next building. So for privacy reason, I strongly suggest like the setback. And for variance number 3, the height of the proposed external main walls will be 9.5 meter, which is 2 meter over the permitted height. And together with variance number 3 and 9, the overall height is 10.3 meter, which is 0.3 meter over the permitted height. Can we go back to the top with the site plan, page 1? Yes, so can you zoom in here? So as you can see, the rear building of 185 is only a 1-story building. So the height difference with 187 will be over 6 meter. As a result, the overflow of rain and snow will fall on 185 flat roof. This creates a serious safety hazard in the future for us. So even with proper maintenance, the overflow of rain and snow would cause leaking. The second point I want to talk about is that also we have a skylight on the roof, so it's gonna block like the lighting because we have a flat roof on top as well. And then for variance 5 and 6, could we look at the plan comparables? Mr. Sue submitted, yes, this one here, thank you, yeah. So according to this, Mr. Sue provided 3 listings. So the first one is the height of the exterior walls that's greater than 10 meters. And then the second one is a building depth that's more than 18.3 meters. And the last is the floor index, which is more than 1.37. Now, if you cross-check all these 3 lists, there's no building that has all 3 criteria. Additionally, the properties that have height approved more than 10 meters are all attached 2-story buildings. However, in our case, the proposed building is attached as just a 1-story building. Okay, that's all, everyone.
Panel, do you have any questions of Mr. Chow? Okay. Li Zhang?
Yes, here.
Okay, can we have your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Li Zhang, 46 Begonia Street.
Okay, can we have your submissions?
Yeah. Sure. I have main concern and object to variance number, especially number 2 and 4. Number 2, the setback for the real second-story balcony is supposed to be 0.9 meters as per bylaw. Now the proposed building changed it to 0 meters from the south side now. So this change is being huge. It's not minor as I understanding. And also number 4, the maximum permitted height of all side exterior main wall facing a sign-off supposed to be 7.5 meter, and the proposed building at side exterior main wall facing a sign-off will be 9.5, which is being about 26% exceed the bylaw requirement. So those I think will cause shadowing and overlook impact to the neighborhood property. So I think it's not will be not considered as a minor. Thank you.
Where is your property in relation to this property?
I am the friend of the owner of 185 Laneway Avenue. So that's why I participated and want to give some.
Okay, so where is Begonia in relation to
No
187?
relation. It's located in Macau.
Pardon?
No relation.
Oh, no relation. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Mr. Su?
Regarding the concern that the neighbor have, the balcony, we are going to have the privacy screen, so there are no overlooked issues. And if the neighbor want us to build a wall on the balcony, there are no overlooked issues or privacy issues. We're willing to accommodate that one. Regarding the sidewalk exterior main wall height for 9.5 meter, we do see quite commonly on that one in the neighborhood, since we see some neighbors are building a request 9.99 sidewalk building height. Regarding the sunlight shadow impact, we took a couple of photos and then we have not seen their impact because the building direction is facing west and east. So we don't see the direct impact because of the building height. That's based on what we can see. And the length of the buildings, as we can see, 181. they are much longer than us as well. And then as well for 183 Manning Avenue, the length is 19 point something meter or 18 point is longer than our proposed 18.45 for building depth. So we believe it's a reasonable length and a reasonable height.
Okay. Panel, do you have any
you.
questions? Yes, Nimrod?
Yeah, I had a question about the number of stories on the building. If we can turn to the side elevation, I thought I had seen some type of entryway on one of the side elevations. So it wasn't clear. Yeah. So is that a door on that side? And I thought that was like below ground, below grade.
That is for the light well. Is not a entryway. It's for this access to clean up the light well, and that's why it will be on there. This is the north side of the building.
I see. So it is a 3-story building on the side.
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions, panel? Okay, we go into committee. Anybody have any comments? Yes, Nimrod?
Oh, I think there are a lot of variances that are being proposed. I did have some concern with the balcony, and so if this was to be approved, I would suggest that there be some privacy screening put up on that rear balcony as well. I think overall, though, I think the variances, in my mind, appear to be minor in nature.
Yes, Larry?
Yeah, I did with Nimrod. You look around the neighborhood and it's a very eclectic housing mix, and there are fairly dense housing structures. But we're seeing 3 stories all the time. The flat roof. I was listening to Jason's neighbors' concerns about water and rainfall charge onto their. I don't think that will happen, frankly, with a roof and appropriate drainage. So, again, I'm with Nimrod. I think I can subsist with the provision for a privacy screening on the third floor balcony.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes,
I
Kim?
also agree with the privacy screen, but in terms of the shadow, I think that the building 185 is on the south side, and I would, although you'll see a taller building and a longer building, but I do not think that it will affect in terms of shadowing on the north side. And it's quite a dense area, and I'm in support of the application with the privacy screen.
All right, do we have a motion?
So
Yes,
I can move for approval with the condition that they put privacy screen 1.5 meter from the deck floor on the north and the south side of the 3rd floor balcony.
All right, we have a seconder? Nimrod, all in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 2, 1221 Dundas Street West. The purpose of the application is to alter the existing 2-story commercial building by performing interior alterations in the basement and 2nd story to increase the gross floor area. this application because I've either lost or I don't have number 2. I don't have the sheet for this property.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we have the materials that have been submitted by the applicant, a covering letter, as well as a previous decision affecting the subject property.
Okay. Speaker Bob Green, please.
Yes, I am here.
Yes, could you just give us your name and your address for the record, please?
My name is Robert Green from CGL Architects, and our address is 156 Avenue Road, Toronto.
I don't believe we need a presentation from you. There's no opposition and there's only one variance. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the panel before we go into committee?
No, based on what you just said, I don't really have a lot to say. I did have prepared words. The only thing I would say is that specifically on the variance is that it's completely within the proposed additional floor area is completely within the approved building footprint and will not alter the approved exterior elevations, and accordingly there will be no adverse impacts in regards to setbacks, height, or shadowing. And this is all coming about due to the changing commercial leasing market, and our clients is unable to lease these additional spaces during the last year. Lost one major tenant, and all the new tenancies that are looking to come into this place are asking for these items. So I think this would be very beneficial to get this building leased.
Okay, thank you, sir. Panel, any questions, comments, or do we have a motion? Yes, Larry.
Good, I think this is a very technical variance. I don't think it has any impact at all on surrounding neighborhood or community. I think it's a very straightforward application. I'm prepared to move that we approve variance with no conditions.
All right, seconder, Nimrod, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 3, 755 Manning Avenue. Purpose of the application is to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a partial 2nd-story extension and a complete 3rd-story addition. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and a report from Urban Forestry. Mr. Sandhu?
Yes, sir.
Can we have your name and your address, please?
My name is Raman Sandhu. I am from Marvel Engineering, which is at 151 the Westway, Toronto.
Okay. Can we have a very brief presentation? There is some opposition.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair.
All right, just a minute. Yes, go
I'm
ahead.
trying to contact Danny Reeses, which is the interested party, but I can't get a hold of him.
Mr. Reeses?
That's correct.
Okay, all right, Mr. Sandhu. There is no opposition online, so I think we'll take it into committee. I don't think we need a presentation from you. Do you have anything to say before we go into committee?
No, I mean, the proposal is pretty straightforward. We try to keep the impact to minimum, and if it is Danny Reeses, he is the owner of these 2 properties.
Oh.
So that might not be real opposition.
Okay, it's not real opposition. Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions?
Thanks.
Yes, Larry?
Chair, I just wonder if we can know that item 4 is the adjacent door. I just wanted to ask the applicant, the 2 houses you're proposing, are they basically the same houses?
If that question is for me, so yeah, the proposal in terms of the building is pretty same, but the actual the size of the lots is a little different. So if you see the GFA ratios, they are a little different. but the size is pretty same in terms of the actual building.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, any further questions, comments, or do we have a motion? Yes, Nimrod?
Yeah, I think the variances are minor in nature, and I know that there are other three-story buildings, homes on the street. So I would move approval with urban forestry conditions number 1 and 2.
All right, we have a seconder. Yim, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number
Thank you.
4, stay in the line, sir. Number 4, 753 Manning Avenue. The purpose of the application to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a partial second-story extension and a complete third-story addition. I'm missing this one too, Sabrina. Oh, wait a minute. I see what happens, Sabrina. Somebody printed them on the back. Yeah, they're printed on both sides. Oh, okay, 753 Manning Avenue, we have material submitted by the applicant, and we have a report from Urban Forestry. Mr. Sanju, perhaps you could just for the record introduce yourself again and give us your address again, and then we'll take it into committee.
Yes, so my name is Raman Sandhu from Marvel Engineering. We are located at 151 the Westway, speaking for 755 or 753 Manning.
Okay, I believe you already made a comment on this when asked a question by Mr. Clay. Panel, do you have any further questions, or can we move to a motion?
Yeah, I would move for a motion. This is similar to the previous application. In this case, there are only 2 variances, and I believe they are minor in nature. And so I would move approval subject to urban forestry conditions 1 and 2.
All right. Yes, Yim, you second that motion? All right, all in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, number 5. ALCINA Avenue. Purpose of this application to construct a new 3-story detached dwelling and a rear 2-story ancillary building containing a laneway suite. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from engineering, and 10 form letters in support. Mr. Barrett.
Good morning, committee members. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I am Graham Barrett of 1575 Dundas Street West, agent for the owners of 50 ALCINA Avenue.
Yeah, I don't believe we need a presentation. There's no opposition. Mr. Barrett, do you have anything to say before I take it into committee?
Yes, just 2 quick points. We did receive an additional letter of support from 54 ALCINA, which is a late submission. I've sent it to staff. We appreciate their support in this matter. Also, I'd like to mention the ECS report. I've read through it, shared it with the designer, and active or passive fire protection can and will be installed. There's also a fire hydrant located in front of 54 ALCINA, which according to my measurements, be approximately 38 meters from the ancillary buildings. So all conditions in that report can be met.
All right, thank you. Panel, do you have any questions? Yes, Larry?
Just a quick one. First of all, it was great to see a laneway suite that doesn't have a height or width or depth variance, so thank you for that. I just wanted to confirm the 45-degree angle plane. It looks to me from plans that it's a very, very small portion of the laneway suite that intersects the 45 degrees. Is that your interpretation as well?
Absolutely. If you look at the presentation materials I submitted, there's a cover letter and several images and marked at the highlighted version of the plans. If you scroll to the east elevation of the laneway suite, in my presentation materials, that should be page 8. You will see the very small corner of the second story that projects into the angular plane. I'm not sure if you're looking at the correct file, but my cover letter and supporting material. Yeah, it should be page 8 on there. So that is where that variance is. If you go to the next page, you see it from the other elevation. It's an exceedingly minor projection into the 45-degree angular plane.
Okay, any further questions? So, any comments, or do we have a motion?
Sure, I'm happy. I thought this was a really good proposal. I thought the lane for the new lane was appropriate for the neighborhood. That I'm pleased to see very few minor variances requested for the laneway suite. These are the kind of applications that we love to see. I fit in with the neighborhood. The community support from the neighbors and surrounding area are good. I'd like to move approval of the application subject to the standard engineering conditions.
Okay, Larry, you're a little garbled. I don't know whether you can move closer to the speaker or something, but your speech is a little garbled. Okay, do we have a...
Chair, and to everyone listening, is that better?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, I apologize.
It's okay.
I was very eloquent in my first portion. I don't want to repeat it, but...
No, it's fine. We heard you, but just a little garbled. Okay, Nimrod, you're seconding the motion? Yes, okay.
Yes, I
All
am.
in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you. Number 6, 14 Murdoch Avenue. The purpose of the application to alter the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear second-story addition. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. Mr. Lee.
Yes, Edward Lee here on behalf of the owners, 6 Argyle Street, Toronto.
Yes, could you, we don't need a presentation. Do you have anything to say before we go into committee?
No, I do not. The one minor variance is self-explanatory.
Right, thank you. Panel, do you have any questions, or do we have a motion? Yim?
Yeah, I think it's a very straightforward application, and it's actually still a very small house after the addition. I just move for approval with no conditions.
All right, do we have a seconder? Yes, Nimrod. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 7. 64 Squires Avenue. Purpose of the application to construct a new 2-story detached dwelling with an integral garage and a front porch. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, a report from Urban Forestry, 5 form letters in support and opposition from 47 Merritt Street. Dale Theriault.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I'm Dale Theriault. I'm the agent and the applicant for this file.
Okay. Could we have just a very brief idea of what you're doing here, what the variances are?
Absolutely, sir. So we're proposing to construct a new 2-story house. We'd be demolishing the existing 1.5-story house that resides on the property. We're looking at minor variances for the front yard and the side yard, as well as the rear yard. Most of them are very minor and more technical variances, particularly in the front yard. The main reason why we're asking relief, the existing house doesn't even meet the current bylaw. The current house has a setback of 2.57 meters. The required is 6.13, and we're requesting 5.1. And side yards, we're requesting relief from side yard requirements, going from 1.2 down to 0.9. And the rear yard, we're also looking for relief going from the 7.5 to approximately 7.4. So they're very minor in nature. We're also looking for relief with regards to the coverage, going from the maximum permit of 35 to 40%. And GFA, we're looking at an increase from 0.6, which is permitted, to 0.63.
Okay, thank you. Panel, do you have any questions? Okay, we go into committee. Any comments, or do we have a motion? Yes, Nimrod.
So while there are quite a few variances that are proposed, I believe they are quite minor in nature, and so I would move approval of the variances with conditions, urban forestry condition number 1.
All right, do we have a seconder? Larry. Thank you. All in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Number 8, 658 Dundas Street West. The purpose of the application is to convert the existing 2-story semi-detached dwelling into a mixed-use building by constructing a complete 3rd-story addition and a rear 2nd and 3rd-story addition that will be cantilevered above the rear parking space abutting the laneway. This will result in 1 at-grade commercial retail unit and a total of 6 dwelling units, whereas 3 dwelling units currently exist. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, correspondence from Heritage Preservation, and correspondence in support from 662 Dundas Street West. So, Dong Hwan Lee.
Hello. Hi, Mr. Chair and committee members. Thank you very much for your time today. I'm Don, the architect, on behalf of the owner, 45 Shepherd Avenue. The existing building has 2-story above grade and 1-story below in the CR2 zone. There is a 1 dwelling unit on the ground floor and 2 dwelling units. The proposed design has converted the dwelling unit on the ground floor into a retail commercial unit, and the 2 dwelling units on the 2nd floor into 3 dwelling units by having 1 more unit inside the addition. A new 3rd floor addition will also have 3 dwelling units. So there are 6 dwelling units and 1 commercial unit in the new proposed design, 3-story building. On the progress of the proposed design, some minor variances came out. The the rear yard setback is 7.5 meters, whereas the proposed setback is 5.54 meters. As you can see in the picture on the drawing, or the supporting document, many existing neighbor buildings are sitting rear lot lines or very close to the line. 2, non-residential unit on the ground floor must be on the street level or to be accessed by only under 4% slope of ramp. Actually, it is almost impossible for existing building with a small lot. This is a very common, it is referred to pictures. 3, floor space index of a mixed-use building is 2 times the area of the lot. This proposed plan has 2.22 times the area of the lot, so around the 33 square meters exceed the designated 311 square. 4, in the last minor variant, the building may not penetrate a 45-degree angular plane lot line that abuts a street and the height equal to 80% of width of the street, right? To my understanding,
Mr. Lee,
yes.
We're having a little trouble hearing you because you fade in and out, but did you just say that there's a fourth variance?
Oh, yes. Fourth variance is the...
We only have 3 variances, which you've covered already.
Yes, I revised variance already submitted, and anyway, that is not in already complied because the 80% of the 20 meters of the street is the 60 meters, but our building height is 10.5 meters building height, so already complying the zoning bylaw. I thought.
Okay.
We already revised zoning bylaw hearing notice delivered.
Well, we're still having trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but I don't know whether you're swallowing your words or the mic's swallowing your words. Something's happening to, we're only hearing a portion of what you're saying. But you know, I understand, you've set out the 3 variances that are on our notice. So do you have anything more to say to just sort of wrap up before I go to the opposition?
No, that's it.
Okay, thank you. David Siobotaru.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. So I'm here on behalf, I'm a licensed paralegal, and I was retained by the tenants who reside in the unit. The tenants are vehemently objecting to any variation here.
All right, sir, can we have your name and address for the record?
Of course. My name is initial D for David. My last name is spelled Ciobotaru.
All right, thank you.
My address is 385 Connie Crescent, Vaughan, Ontario. What's the postal code here?
Yeah, no, it's okay. We don't need your postal code, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
So could you tell us what your client's objections are?
My client's objection is that they've been residential tenants. My client actually, one of the clients owned the house at some point. It's a residential house of which they've resided there for in excess of some 20 or 25 years. And it's been through a few evolutions of landlords or owners of the property, and there's been many attempts to evict these tenants for various reasons. This is their home. If the variation will be approved, will it be on the condition that a similar residence will be offered to these residents? They're going to be rendered homeless. They're not going to be able to afford the rent that's in the market right now. They've been long-time tenants, and I'm asking the committee to address this issue and the public and the greater interest of public interest and the rights of these residents who've been living there who are going to be rendered homeless.
Sir, this is not within our mandate. We're dealing with variances from zoning bylaws. We can't deal with landlord and tenant law. So
Certainly, I respect that, Chair. I respect that. I know that. But what I'm saying is that to convert the residence house to a storefront, the impact, you must consider the impact on the people, on the humans who are sort of peripheral casualties. And some of my clients are actually online, and they would like to speak as well.
All right, so there's, well, we're not going to hear from people you represent because we only have one person speaking. But there's going to be 6 dwelling units there, whereas there's 3 now. Are your clients not going to be able to find accommodation in the building?
So the thing is that in order to to develop it to 6 dwellings, as the 6 dwellings going to be residential, because that's not what the owner have told my clients. They told them to get out so they can want to make it into a store.
Well, but the application talks about 6 dwelling units as opposed to 3 that are there now. So
Will there be, are these proposed dwelling going to be residential dwellings or commercial dwellings?
Well, dwelling is a residential dwelling as far as I understand.
Okay, and so what we didn't hear is that if this is approved, will they have to be uprooted in order for this work to be done?
Well,
where are these people going to go?
I don't know that, and that's, as I said, not within our mandate, but we will go back to the agent once we have heard from all the opposition, and perhaps he will have an answer for you. So do you have any further submissions? Your time is running short.
Okay, I'm just going to close it by saying that I'm asking the committee to consider the rights of the individuals who are going to be impacted by this action. Thank you.
Sir, do you represent all, just 1 minute, Nimrod. Do you represent all the tenants? There's a Mr. Lazarus who's listed. Do you represent him?
Is it Ray? Ray Lazarus?
Cat Lazarus.
No, sorry. I'm representing Ray, Linda, and Quan Lee.
Okay, thank you. Nimrod, you have a question?
Yes, I do. My question is, so based on the floor plans, can you tell us where these individuals currently live on those floor plans, and are their existing units going to be affected by the proposed new floor plans, if you can tell?
Is the question for me?
Yes.
Thank you. So whenever you have construction to the degree that you're proposing, these people are not going to be able to continue residing there. It doesn't appear that way unless where are they going to go? You're going to construct, you're going to cut off the power, the water, and all that. I mean, these are human beings.
All right, but that's not the question you were asked. He's asking, Mr. Nimrod is asking where your clients presently reside.
So they reside in the dwelling. I don't particularly personally know because I've never been there. I've been retained during the COVID, so I usually visit the site, but I wasn't able to do that. But I mean, with your permission, we can ask them and they can tell you just on that answer, just on that issue, not to get into any other information, right, well, so you have the clear picture.
All right. So Nimrod, do you need any further information? Yes?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay. So let's move to Cat Lazarus.
Press 3.
Hello?
I've sent your message. See you next time.
Through you, Mr. Chair, attempts were made to reach Cat Lazarus, and we're unable to get through.
Okay. So, Connie Lean,
Hello.
hello?
Hi. Who's calling?
Hello, I have unmuted user last name Lien, Lien. Are you speaking on?
Yes, that's us.
Okay.
So I'm Connie Lien. I am the current tenants are my parents, and they have trouble with English, so I'm just speaking on their behalf and in my situation. So to answer your question, Nimrod, so currently the family there's a multi-generational family living on the main floor, and under the proposed variances, they're going to change it they're going to remove the current unit and change it to commercial, and there's no suitable replacement because yes, there will be 6 new units, but if you look at the floor plan, 2 of them are quite small, they're like under 400 square feet, and the other 4 units aren't suitable replacements. For one, so yes, there are more units, but they're not quality units. They're very small.
Could you please speak into the microphone? I'm having a little trouble hearing you.
Oh, sorry.
That's better.
Yes. So the current tenants would be evicted from the main floor, which will be under the proposal will be changed into a commercial unit, and there are no suitable replacements because the 6 new units that are created are too small. 2 of the units, if you look at the middle units, they look to be about 400 square feet. And more importantly, the current tenants, my mom, she's really old. She has like some accessibility issues, so she needs to be on the first floor. But the new 6 units, you need to access, they can only be accessed through the stairs, and the only entrance is through the back. And to get through the back, you have to go around, like from the main street, around into the laneway, and the laneway is not paved, it's not plowed in the winter, so there's lots of snow. So it seems like a small variance. I guess this addressed the first variance, which is asking to omit the ramp or the commercial to the entrance. So it seems like a small variance, but what it is taking away one of the few main floor apartments in their neighborhood for a vulnerable portion of the population and giving 6 inaccessible, more expensive units in the back. And I also mentioned this is a multi-generational home. We've been living here since 1996. My sister went to school across the street. I graduated from school across the street, and now I have a child, and I come visit my parents very frequently, and I take them to the school across the street. This is a fantastic neighborhood for raising a family, for people of all different walks of life, because there's access to fresh food in Chinatown, there's a library, there's schools, there's a hospital. And what this proposal is really doing is taking affordable housing from people and just changing it into a commercial storefront for profit and offering to replace 6 not quality units that people can live for a long time. Like, these units aren't family friendly. If you look at the 6 units, you have to walk up 2 flights of stairs. I mean, if you have a family, like, how could you possibly go up and down with a stroller in the winter? And it's a barrier to access for the money after the construction. The rent prices will be through the roof, and the current landlords have not informed us about any of this. They had offered no replacement units, no compensation. Moreover, there is a approval support from the community, the neighbors from 662, but they're also a bit biased because they recently got a proposal rejected they want to build a 4-story laneway building next door, and the neighborhood band together raising lots of objections based on like the impact of the neighborhood. So for example, congestion in the laneway, the privacy issues, garbage issues. But for some reason, I guess, I'm not sure that like the people in their neighborhood weren't quite aware of the changes made to our unit, maybe because the notice is obscured from the door. Yes. Sorry for the...
Okay, do you have anything more to say?
Yeah, actually my sister would like to say something. So I'm not very familiar with the blueprint, but it does look like they're trying to extend the rear setback through the 2nd and 3rd floor. My
concerned about, one of my concerns would be regarding privacy, because 4 Hickory Street actually has a rear window. And if you were to build the second and third floor, there would be a window and as well as a balcony, and you can actually see through into the window of the 4 Hickory Street as well. So not only are we concerned about accessibility, safety, but we're also concerned about privacy for our other neighbors as well.
Yes, okay.
Through you, Mr.
Yin, you have
Chair.
a question?
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. Can she please state her full name and address?
Yeah.
Catherine Leanne, 658 Dundas Street West.
Okay, Yim?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question for the daughter of the one floor tenant. Have you tried to contact the landlord and tenants board to resolve it? Because I can see there's some will impact, especially the ground floor is going to turn into commercial in a way that you do have, and you were told already to evict, but I think that tenants probably can are entitled to reasonable arrangement.
Right, but the thing is, we try to be very civil with them and very cooperative with them, but personally, I feel like we're being bullied, because every single time that it's a minor mistake, they try to evict us. They give us a lot of N5s.
So why I just asked whether you have contacted the landlord and tenants board. Is that what you called?
Yes.
That express your situation. Maybe at least you will get some more reasonable arrangement, or more workable for your elderly parents. And I think
Well, in terms of that, I think, because I don't routinely speak with them. It's usually my mom. I'm not quite sure about that situation, but my mother is trying to wait for government housing, and we have been trying. We even tried letting the landlords know beforehand. But again, like, they're still trying to evict us. But
yeah, that's why I think you're facing a eviction. I think you can take your case to the tenants, landlords and tenants board. I think they might make a more reasonable decision for you. You should contact them, I think. That's my.
All right, thank you so much.
All right, let's move back to Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee, you need to,
Yes.
So the only issue that we seem to have from your opponents is that they're going to be evicted, and particularly this family on the first floor that's going to be converted to commercial, and they would not be able to use any of the new dwelling units. So have you made any arrangements with respect to these tenants?
No, actually not, because that is I'm sorry to hear that from the tenants. But that is in other side, in the building owner side, the owner need to improve the property value. Actually, this is on Dundas Street between Spadina and Bathurst, which is in the hot central downtown of Front. However, this building and the vicinity area is comparatively undeveloped and old. The property values of the area are extremely high, but the effectiveness of use of the land is relatively very poor. Based on this zoning bylaw, the minimum height of the building is 10.5 meters here, but many existing buildings are only 6 to 7 meters tall, with only 2 stories. My client, the owner of the property, wants to raise the efficiency of the building through addition and alteration, and to be close to the real market value of the property. It is also expected to make better aesthetic street views. I think so.
All right, thank you, sir. Yim, do you have a question?
Yes, I do have a question. Actually, it's variance number 2 is about the ramp or the accessibility to the ground floor. To me, it's not a minor variance. I just hope that I do not know. Probably it's whether you have attempted to actually make a even maybe a steeper ramp from the building code required, but at least some sort of accessibility, because it is a big initiative of the whole city for new build or new construction to at least meet some of the accessibility requirement. And I just want you to speak to that, because whether you have attempted or whether you think that's not possible and you think that is minor. To can you explain that, please? Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for your question. Actually, the new building case is asked to make it, but like this old building, from the existing building to addition and alteration, the existing floor on the ground floor level is a little bit 2 feet above the street level. It's very hard. It's almost difficult, hard to alternate.
How much higher do you know? Is there any kind of opportunity that you have explored that is not possible?
Yeah.
How much higher from grade?
There's around 2 feet, but this building is in front of the almost the same line of the front lot line, and the width of the property is around 20 feet. So there's no space to make a ramp, and then I attach it to the business near by without ramp, no wheelchair access in the same street. That is the same pictures. Please refer to the pictures on the supporting material. Yes, these ones. All these are all Dundas to West. All these ground floor commercial retailers, 1 or 2 steps like this. It's very common case.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Larry.
Well, I'd just on that, I had the same concern. Just on that, the reason those retail at grade storefronts don't have ramps that they are pre-existing and they exist prior to the AODA being brought in, and the fact that we're converting a use from residential to retail would in fact require accessibility act. So I don't think it's reiterating that yet, but that was a pretty major concern on my part, to not provide accessible access to retail at grade front. I'd also just make the observation that as sympathetic as we are to the tenants, not before us today, and secondly, Chair, you mentioned landlord and tenant, and there are provisions within that legislation that address these kinds of situations, and I think we'd all recommend, if this gets approved, that we'd all recommend that the tenants pursue their legal rights under that legislation, the LTV.
Yes. All right. Any further questions? All right. Any comments? Are we going into committee? Any comments? Or do we have a motion? Nimrod?
What comment I have is, I do have concerns that the existing tenants have not been consulted with, and that there has been no plan put forward as to how they will be accommodated. And so I'm wondering whether this application should be deferred until that aspect has been dealt with.
I actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. I actually remember a case that long time ago. It is actually, I think it's maybe on King Street. It's similar that they actually, it's all commercial, but they are doing renovation, and they claim that they also cannot provide accessibility to the ground floor, and it was turned down because of the city does not think that for new construction is a minor variance, and that's my experience. But and I also think that given the current tenant is residential, maybe it is good to have some time for them to work out a better arrangement and then come back to us. And also, maybe the outside is difficult to put a ramp, but also if they're doing renovation, maybe they should invest some money, maybe cutting inside a little bit too, so that there's some kind of accessibility at the ground floor.
Yeah. Larry?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. There's a couple of issues here. First off, that little strip of Dundas, which is sort of on the periphery of Kensington, and that sort of neighborhood. And frankly, I think a ground floor retail would help animate that little strip along there. It is a bit of a dead end otherwise. I'm a view that, I think in an ideal world, we'd love an owner to have discussions with existing tenants. But I'm not sure that's a requirement. And in this instance, there is recourse for tenants to pursue. And it's really through the city that there is a very well-established process for tenants to raise concerns of this nature when they happen. In some cases, accommodations can be made. I don't know if the city can necessarily do that on its own, or whether those sorts of things can be done through consultation. I just don't know whether deferring this application would resolve that issue that would end up going to the LTB anyway. So I'm sympathetic to the existing tenants. I get that, and dislocation is a bit of a challenge. On the other hand, that's a very desirable neighborhood, and additional, even though some it's referral units, a couple of micro units, in my view, is a good thing as well, particularly on the periphery of Kensington, which is a very desirable neighborhood. So. I understand my colleague's concerns. I'm not sure I share all of them. I would, I don't think we should allow the variance for accessibility. I just don't think that's a good thing in the context of the ADA and the efforts of the province and municipalities to introduce in every instance opportunities to provide accessible access to commercial and retail. That's my comment.
Originally I was of the same view as Nimrod, that we should defer the matter and allow the tenants and landlords to speak, but I don't. I agree with Larry. There is a tribunal specially mandated to deal with the issue of landlord and tenants, and I don't think we should be sticking our nose into that problem. I agree that variance number 2, access, is very important, and perhaps we shouldn't approve that. But aside from that, the variances are minor. We don't even know whether the tenants have looked elsewhere for accommodation, etc. So, but in any event, it's outside our jurisdiction. It's something much better dealt with by landlord and tenant. So do we have, does somebody have a motion?
Well, we'll see how it goes. Maybe, Chair, if it's okay, I'd like to advance a motion to approve this application, approve variances in 3 in this location and refuse variance number 2.
I'm okay with that. I think they should try to meet variance too. There might be some way they can do it. Yeah, I think we go inside and then warm up, go outside, warm up both ways. I think. I will second your motion.
Okay, all in favor of the motion? Have your approval, sir, subject to the deletion of variance number 2. Number 9. (133) Madison Avenue. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have support from 131 Madison Avenue. And the purpose, I forgot, the purpose of the application to alter the existing 3-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 1-story addition, a rear ground floor deck, and a rear 3rd-story balcony, also to install 2 tandem parking spaces along the south side of the property.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we also have a staff report from Heritage Preservation Services and correspondence in opposition and in interest from the Annex Residents Association.
Yes. And also correspondence from Mr. Raff, the agent. Okay. So, Mr. Raff.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning. Would you like me to make my presentation now?
Let me just look at this for a moment. I'm trying to, yeah. I don't think we need a presentation from you. There doesn't appear to be any opposition.
No, the issue with the Residents Association was resolved with an explanation that clarifies their concern. They agreed to support the application as long as Heritage does. Heritage does. We've had a detailed, it is a heritage restoration project, and 2 out of 3 variances are for existing parking conditions, and the variance requested is just for building depth, 22.395. Most of the excess building depth, as per the diagram we submitted, if you do want to look at our support materials, is subterranean. It's underground. It's not visible. It's in a rear yard storage space under the addition. Yes, this diagram shows it, if you'd like to zoom in on that. There's the allowable building depth at the top, 17 meters, the proposed at the bottom, but it includes the below grade portion. It's only a 19.33 building depth if you count what you actually can see from, above grade anywhere. This is very much in keeping with the neighborhood. You can see how it relates to the neighbors on either side, both of which are in support of the application. And it's only 0.84 meters longer than the building is currently.
Okay, thank you, sir. Panel, any questions? Okay, yes, Nimrod?
My question was, if this was to be approved, would the applicant have any issue if the approval was tied to a condition that it be tied to the site plan, so that the site plan clearly shows what is permitted to that maximum building depth, so that you couldn't in fact have a whole 2-story addition that is equal to that depth? It's really just as it was described.
Yes, this is what we intend to build. I'll just add that the addition being proposed is only 1 story regardless.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll go into committee. Any comments, or do we have a motion?
Yeah, my only comment would be is if this was to be approved, if we could add a condition that it be tied to the site plan.
Yes.
I think it's a good idea, yeah.
Okay, so Nimrod, would you make a motion?
Sure. I think the variances are minor in nature, and I would move approval of the variances subject to heritage planning conditions and condition that the building depths be tied to the site plan.
All right, yeah, Yim, you second that motion? All right, all in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Number 11. '23 Northcott Avenue. Purpose of the application to alter the existing 2.5-story townhouse by constructing a rear 2-story addition, a north side second floor bedroom walkout to the rooftop balcony, and construct a rear 2-story ancillary building containing a garage and a laneway suite. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, correspondence from planning, and a report from engineering and planning, and opposition from 19 Northcott.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we also have a correspondence and opposition from 21 Northcott Avenue as well.
Yes. Okay. And Rock Kim?
Hi, my name is Rock Kim. I'm the agent for the behalf of 23 Northcott Avenue. Actually, the owner's here too.
Okay, well, so we'll hear a brief presentation, Mr. Kim, because we have some opposition.
Let me explain about our project first. Actually, we want to make the rear side
Mr. Kim, for the record, could we have your name and address, please?
Rock Kim. Address is 386 Young Street.
Okay.
Can you start?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. We want to make the rear side 2-story addition of existing house, and then the laneway house addition. We are trying to make the actually right north side of the 25. We are shorter than the 25 and a little bit longer than the 21 of the addition part, actually. And then 19, we are shorter. There is a house. 19 and then 11 is longer than what we propose for the length of the house. And then we are over the maximum requirements is for the gross floor area is 100%. We are over 8%, 108, what we are trying to do. And then the laneway house, and actually for the addition of the 3rd floor balcony, we are trying to make, the owner wants to make the green roof space and then maintenance going up there, but we are willing to change it to the flat roof. It doesn't really matter, but it's not part of the committee, so that's why I didn't talk about this part. But we're gonna negotiate with the 21, but we will talk about that part because we are neighboring, right? So, and then the laneway house, we have a setback from the backyard, 1.5 meter. There's the issue because of the addition and the laneway house. If it's the distance is 7.5 meter, we don't have an issue for the laneway house height, but we have 6 meter because of the back side setback of the laneway house, 1.5 meter, because the laneway is really narrow right now. And then the Beaconsfield, the backside neighbor, backside of the neighbor, they have the laneway house too, and then they have the 0 setback to the property, so it's really tight to go in to them and to us for the driveways. So that's why we made 1.5 meter for the setback issues. And then owner will explain about the actually
Mr.
I
Kim,
got
Mr. Kim, we're
Sorry,
only going to hear from one of you. So if you need further, if he was going to give some explanation, you better give it.
Okay, I'll explain about I got the opposition letter for the 21 Northcott. Actually, the owner has been talked to them a very long time, and then they have an issue with the construction, noise part, and then security issues, and then like drainage. I think this is part of the construction, not part of the committee of adjustment.
Yeah, we won't deal with construction issues.
Yes.
Yim, do you have a question?
Yeah, just a quick one for clarification. For your Laneway house,
Yeah.
on your drawings, you're showing it in Imperial floor 10, and the second floor is 8 feet, and also the 2 feet. What is that? Is that a railing?
We want to make that like a roof as the green roof, so it's like the maintenance for the
elevation.
safety.
No, that's
Sorry?
not what I'm asking. I'm asking, what is 6.6? Because in the variance it says is you're asking for 6.55 height. Does that include the 2 feet of railing or roof or whatever it is? Yeah, on the
Yes.
side elevation.
Yes, that's including the.
Down a little bit, please. And yes, that one, the 2 feet above the roof.
Railing for the hook up the safety.
Only on one side.
Yeah, only one side. Probably could be in the middle, but.
And then 6.55 meter. Does that include the 2 feet?
Yes, that's right.
If minus the 2 feet, what is the height? Is it
5.94 meter?
5.9? So it will be in compliance with the height.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. I just want to make sure. Is that railing necessary? The 2 feet railing? Because it's not a proper railing anyway, right? Railing is 3 foot 6.
This is not really railing. It's a safety issue. They can hook up. They don't for the safety.
Okay.
The thing for the maintenance of the green roof, but actually we can get rid of the green roof if it's not really.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I do have some question about the height of your Laneway house. If it's as proposed as over 6 meter.
Yeah,
Okay,
the house is
Just as an aside, I think he mentioned we could get rid of the green roof. The planning staff are recommending that the green roof be left in as a condition.
Okay.
That's why I thought make sure that it's not the extra height is not added to the Laneway house height. Not too sure why the railing is part of that.
Yeah, well, apparently that's a recommendation of planning, a railing on one side.
It looks like it's more of a parapet than a railing, though, right? So maybe the nature of it would require it to be considered as part of the height.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Any further questions of this witness panel? Okay, Mr. Taggart, Ms. Berry.
Hi there, this is Madison Berry speaking at 21 Northcote.
Yes.
I don't have anything more to add than what was in the letter. While all the variance requests are minor in nature, the combination of requests does have us very concerned about the items mentioned in my letter. We've spoken with the owner, and so we're not opposed to the creation of the Laneway house. Again, it's just a lot in combination with the other requests. So we're happy to continue that conversation with the owner, but no further commentary to add.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Kim, I don't believe we need to hear from you again, as it's not really opposition. So we're going to go into committee. Panel, do you have any questions, Mr. Kim? Any comments? We have a motion?
Right, Chair, just a quick question. I did know, I wasn't sure whether, it looks like there's a rooftop or top terrace on the main dwelling. I couldn't tell, maybe else could, does it include screening of plans? If not, I think given its height and the dense urban fabric here, that we might want to include a condition that terrace be screened.
Larry, I actually have problem with the height for the Laneway house only because they already asking for reduced setback to have 6 meters, and we approved a lot of Laneway house that have tighter setback, but then we still will keep it at 6 meters. And I think that in this case, I would like to actually not refuse the height variance for the Laneway house because they already gained some reduced. It was only if it's a reduced setback from the main house, they only allow 4 meters.
Okay.
So I think that
So,
even the drawings so that they 6 meters will work for them. I think maybe we should just limit it to 6 meters.
yeah, so that maybe we can go back and look at that. The only thing I'm concerned about on that is if we're requiring a green roof, what I heard the agent say is that that's there only for friction, for maintenance of the green roof. And I just don't know, is building code requirement, or is that part of any condition? Can you have a green roof without some sort of sea barrier?
No, we actually approve a lot of Laneway house. They all don't require extra height because it's a maximum height is 6 meters. They do have green roofs too. So
right. Okay.
I don't think technically you need it. Yeah, you.
That's fine. I think what we heard the agent say that without the parapet, it's 5.94 meters. I think it's not what he said.
Yes.
Yeah, but he also said about planning is making it a condition that they want a green roof, and they also want this wall, 2 foot wall or so, for safety on the green roof.
There you go.
So I don't think we should lightly consider getting rid of it.
I'm a little, I'm with you, Chair. I'm a little concerned about removing something that is specifically there for key reasons.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, committee, I'm not allowed to comment, right?
Right.
Okay.
So, Jim, are you okay with leaving that in there and keeping the variance?
Mr. Chairman, where did you see that the railing is for safety from the planning? I do not see it there.
Well, it says B, low railing on one side of the roof for safety purposes during green roof maintenance.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't, I was over. Okay, so in that case, maybe we should tie to the drawings then.
Yeah.
I would agree with that, to add a condition that we tie the drawing, the height of the Laneway suite to the drawing so that it's clear what is allowed to go to that height.
Yeah.
we also do the condition about the screening for the earth on the main building?
Yeah, so I noticed there is a planning report which has a condition that requires privacy screening. And is that the same area that you're looking at, Larry?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kiva, I missed that, in that condition. So if that's in there, as part of their conditions, I know they want to build them, so, if that's already in there, fair enough. I must have missed it when I was reviewing this one.
Okay, any further questions, or do we have a motion?
Sorry, I'm just looking at the planning report. Maybe we can just go to that to see if there is in fact a condition, just to make sure.
It two conditions.
Oh, so there does not seem to be a condition about the main building privacy screening. I had thought I had seen that. Maybe it was in their comments and it never got in.
Well, why don't we put it in anyway?
Sure.
Okay.
You want to move it?
Yes, I'd like to move a motion, but I do not, I missed what Liam said about another condition. What's the extra condition?
He wants a privacy screen on the,
Oh.
on a deck on the main house.
Oh, main house on the third floor deck? Oh,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. All right, so I add that with the conditions that set out by community planning, subject to also the drawing submitted in regard with the height of the Laneway house.
All right, there's also the
And the
standard
standard
engineering
engineering
conditions. Yeah,
And all the standard engineering requirement for Laneway house construction.
okay. Do we have a seconder? Nimrod, all in favor? You have your approval, sir, thank you. Can we take a 5-minute break at this time? Okay, we're moving on to number 1257 Glen Road. The purpose of the application to construct an in-ground swimming pool, sports court, detached garage, and accessory building, a pool cabana in rear of the existing three-story detached dwelling. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, one form letter in support, and opposition from 38 Maple Avenue. Mr. Goldberg?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I am here.
Yeah, can we have your name and address for the record, sir?
Yes, my name is Michael Goldberg. I'm a principal at Goldberg Group, 2098 Avenue Road, Toronto, M5M 4A8.
All right, I don't think we need a presentation. There doesn't seem to be any opposition online, at least. Panel, so Mr. Goldberg, before we take it into committee, do you have anything to say to the panel?
I'm aware of the letter from 38 Maple, and I have comments to provide if the committee would like to hear comments from me. Otherwise, I'm quite happy not taking up the committee's time.
All right, so perhaps you could address the issue that was raised by 38 Maple.
Sure. What I can indicate is 38 Maple is not adjacent to this property. It's one property removed. In between 38 Maple and the subject site, there is a distance of 60 feet or 18 meters. And in addition, you can see at the northwest corner of the adjacent house at 36, there's a very large two-story coach house. That coach house is 7.2 meters high, and it is intervening in between 38 and the subject site. So there is also another coach house backing onto 36 Maple, which is on 77. I forget the name of the street, 77 Elm Avenue. You can see the address there. That coach house is 5.92 meters high. And you can see the box in the southeast corner of the subject site is an existing garage that's being that will be demolished, and that's where the sports court will be located. So you can see there is no opportunity for people to see it, and clearly there will be large structures intervening between 38 and the subject property, which would mitigate noise because they're solid structures and they're very high.
Mr. Goldberg, could you just tell us what the sports court is? It is a full basketball court, a tennis court, or what is it?
Oh no, it's actually a rather small area. It's probably a quarter of a basketball court. It's like, you know, like one side where, you know, someone could have one hoop and you know, take shots from a foul line. There may be other equipment put in there, but that's the general size of it.
Yeah. Okay, so it's less than half court.
Oh, it's less than half court, yeah.
Okay, so do you have anything further to say, Mr. Goldberg?
I don't. I would just say that if you look at the existing survey, the driveway is basically much more narrow than the existing driveway is today. There already is a basketball court in the widened part of the driveway today, and both the cabana and the and the proposed garage will be lower than the adjacent coach houses, which are straddled on a 0 lot line to our east lot line, both of them there. So there is an opportunity, I will say, there is an opportunity to add landscape open space by way of a green roof on the garage because it's a flat roof, and we would be prepared to do that, and that would increase the landscaped open space from 36% to 41.5%. And I leave that in the committee's hands as to whether you wish to make that amendment to the application or not, from 36 to 41.5 in variance number 1. We are fine either way.
All right, thank you. Panel, do you have any questions? Yes, Nimrod?
Yeah, if we can just put up the site plan, I just wanted to clarify. I thought that the site plan showed that there's going to be a green roof on the garage. Was it also the cabana as well, or storage, or I wasn't quite clear?
It's on the storage and on the garage, and that would increase the number to 41.5.
And if this was to be approved, would you be okay if there was a condition added that there be a green roof on the garage and storage buildings as shown on the site plan?
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay. Any comments, or do we have a motion? Yes, Nimrod?
Yeah, I believe the variances are minor in nature, and I would keep that variance number 1 the way it is, and just add a condition of approval that there be a green roof on the storage shed and garage as shown on the site plan.
Okay. Do we have a seconder? Larry? All right. Perhaps Sabrina, if we make it a condition that there be a green roof on the garage and storage, do we have to change variance number 1, or should we just approve it that way and make it a condition as Nimrod suggested?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I believe the motion that's before us is okay to move forward with.
Okay.
So, yes, the green roof on storage shed and garage as shown on the plans.
Right, thank you. Okay. All in favor of the motion? You have your approval, Mr. Goldberg. Thank you. Number 13. 65 Garden Avenue. The purpose of this application is to alter the existing 3-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear ground floor deck and a rear 3rd-story addition with a walkout rooftop deck. A rear yard carport will also be constructed. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, 8 form letters in support. Mr. D'Oliveira.
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Yes. Well, you're a little muffled. Can we have your name and address for the record, sir?
Certainly. So my name is Mike D'Oliveira. I'm here acting on the agent on behalf of 65 Garden Avenue, and I'm with Replacement Design located at 911 Davenport Road.
Okay, so we're going to take, I don't think we need a presentation from you. Do you have anything to say before we take it into committee?
Not much. I think our application kind of speaks for itself. Our variances are quite minor. The area we're asking is only 0.01 more than the existing home that's currently at 0.76. We're asking for 0.77. We're also well in line with other homes in the area, and our overall main wall height isn't actually increasing. It's the same dormer, just being made wider. So it's the same overall height. We're not proposing to make the building any taller. And there's no variances for any of the items in the backyard. It's really just the two related to the house.
All right,
So open any questions you might have.
thank you. Panel, do you have any questions, or do we have a motion? Yes, Yim?
Yeah, I agree with the applicant's presentation. I think it's a straightforward application and there are no opposition. I move for approval with no conditions.
Seconder?
Yeah, I did, maybe just before we go, I just wanted to just acknowledge the applicant did a really good job of getting all the adjacent surrounding neighborhoods to support this, which means they've had several discussions with them. So that's kind of the stuff that we really like to see on these applications. So I will say that and second the motion.
All right, thank you. All in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, number 14, 68 OAKCREST Avenue. Purpose of the application is to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear two-story addition and a rear ground floor porch. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, 6 form letters in support, and a report from Urban Forestry. Audrey Daris.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. My name is Audrey Kvedaris and I live at 1 Ethelwyn Avenue, and I'm the agent for the project.
Right, thank you. We only have one variance. I don't think we need a presentation. Do you have anything to say before I take it into committee?
Just one point in relation to the supporting plan that illustrates other minor variance applications in the area, that the 0.81 is the average variance that was approved, and for homes of that vintage in the immediate area, 0.83 is the median approved gross floor space index. Thank you.
Thank you. Panel, any questions, or do we have a motion? Yes, Nimrod?
Yeah, there, like the chairman said, there's only one variance, and I believe it is minor. The rear two-story addition is quite small, only 32 square meters in size. So I would move approval of the variance, and I believe there's a condition from Urban Forestry number.
Yes. Seconder? Yim? All right. All in favor? You have your approval. Thank you. Number 15, 24 Glenhurst Avenue. The purpose of the application is to alter the existing two-story semi-detached dwelling by constructing a rear ground floor deck. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, support from 26 and 20 Glenhurst, and 4 form letters in support from other addresses on Glenhurst Avenue. Mr. Skeen?
Yes, hi, I'm Angus Skeen. I'm the architect and agent for the application.
Yeah, can we have your address, sir?
Certainly, 142 Glendale Avenue, Toronto, M6R2T2.
Okay, so there is someone who wants to speak, I believe, in opposition, so you better just, there's one, yes?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, attempts were made to contact Marita Bellotta, but we couldn't get through.
Oh, okay, there's no opposition. So So I'm gonna take it into committee, Mr. Skeen. Do you have anything to say before we take it into committee?
I actually do, in the sense that the owner spoke with the immediate neighbor, who I believe is the woman who wanted to speak in opposition, and I sent something through very early this morning. They had met last night, the two neighbors. My client, the resident of number 24, sent an email confirming the nature of their discussion last night. I just got that this morning, and staff were kind enough to shoot it into you guys as an email. It'll be in, I guess, the supplementary information, but it shows that it seems agreements were made and concerns, none of the concerns had anything to do with the minor variance as such. It's deck issues and things like that.
Okay. So
I can read the email if it's not accessible, and if that's of interest.
Yeah, I don't.
Through you, Mr. Chair, that email came in this morning and it's up on the screen now.
Yeah, can't read it, it's too small. Tiffany, can you, yeah, that's better. Nimrod, you have a question?
Yeah, can we put up the site plan, and if the applicant can explain how the rear yard soft landscaping is being calculated, and what's underneath the first floor deck and stairs?
Yeah, for sure. The better drawing for rear yard soft landscaping is to click one page in on the PDF to the landscaping calculation. Does that help a little bit? So what you're seeing there is the way the bylaw works. It delineates the rear yard initially to create the area that's called the rear yard. It then requires a 50% amount of soft landscaping. Now, anything that's hard landscaping in that rear yard area, such as the garage, the driveway that's required to reach the required parking space, and the deck will all count as hard landscaping. So we end up with, if you look at the large calculations at the bottom, it says rear lot area, 120 square meters, soft LOS, which is landscape open space required, equals 50%, which equals 60. We provide 37. So the 37 number you see on the drawing with all those little dots, which are supposed to represent grass, that's the soft area. Everything else is considered hard. And the truth is, with this property, like most of the properties in this area, underneath that deck is mostly already a concrete patio that's existed for years and years. And folks are they just prefer to be at the level of the first floor if they can. So much of what's being covered with the deck has always been covered with pavement. And I think actually we're pulling up a fair bit of pavement to create this new soft landscaping. So it's kind of a happy ending for the bylaw provision in that sense.
So you've increased the soft landscaping area?
Yes, I think we have, yes.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
is the parking, is the car actually parking in the front yard as opposed to at the back?
No, the way it works is these properties are required to provide the parking space in the rear yard, and a parking space has certain dimensions, as does the driveway. But if the driveway, under the bylaw, if a driveway leads to an approved and required parking space behind the main front wall, you are allowed to park your car in the front yard on that driveway. Now, I don't know here in this situation where there's a shared right-of-way, a shared driveway, I can't recall what arrangements the two parties might have about parking in the driveway sometimes to unload groceries, etc. I do know that the neighbor they share the driveway with has sent in a letter of of approval or support for the application. So I guess it's amicable between the two parties, the parking arrangement.
So what material is the driveway in the rear yard, leading to the garage?
On these kind of, to be honest, when I do these homeowner drawings, I'm according to the bylaw. So if you could click back to I don't know if I specify a material. If you click back on the site plan, it probably just says required driveway minimum width. And on the drawing A2, if we click back to the soft landscaping one, sorry, I think you're going to find I haven't specified it. The little hatching pattern I'm putting down is a vague idea about interlock or something. But with these homeowner projects, my main thing is to make sure the homeowner understands the bylaw, like what is hard landscaping, what is soft. And homeowners make so many discretionary choices down the road with their contractors that I've long since stopped specifying a particular material.
But could you provide using permeable material for the portion of the driveway located in the rear yard?
You know, the only permeable material is a funny thing because I don't mind, and in fact, what I did today as a caution is I told the owner to sign on as a potential speaker in case any issues come up that, you know, they may want to comment on. And so, to be honest, I'll give you my thoughts about permeable material. I would have to ask the owner if she minds me tying her to such a thing, I suppose. I don't think it's out of the question. The only reason I qualify it is the only permeable paving material that zoning examiners will consider as a soft landscaping alternate is the kind where it's almost like a concrete block goes into the ground and you get a little bit of grass like in the hollows of the concrete block. It's a type of paver, and they will literally consider the grass that's in the hollows to be soft landscaping. In other words, rainwater can permeate the soil. This business of going to like interlock companies and purchasing their commercial grade permeable pavers which have a grout space between the pavers that's adequate to allow permeation, they're often, these have to be underlaid by very specific stratifications of soil and granular grains and all this stuff leading to trench drains. And also they will often say, look, do not use this product in a cold climate where salt, grit, and leaves block these mortar joints because there's no permeation takes place. So other than that, anything about the material, I'd feel more comfortable checking with the owner who I did have, who is able to speak if that's of interest to you, for sure.
All right, thank you.
All right, Larry?
Just to follow up on that point, I do have some personal experience with permeable pavers, and yes, the agent accurately says that is one form. I think what Nimrod and I and many of the panel members are referring to when we talk about permeable pavers are the kind that do use concrete blocks but employ what's called a HPB, which is a granular, not limestone screening, but it's a 1/4-inch crushed gravel, which acts as the bed for the rocks or for the stones, and also for the material that goes in between the pavers. That provides a great deal of capacity to allow rainwater to go through and permeate and into the soil. That's kind of what we consider to be one of the standards, notwithstanding zoning inspectors may not consider that. We're just trying to get something more than the traditional paving stone, which uses sand, which actually restricts water from going through. So when we say permeable pavers, we're not suggesting necessarily that you have to put something in that the zoning examiner would say that actually now changes the percentage of your rear yard landscaping. What it does is incrementally improves upon the standard impermeable pavers, which are in use in most situations across the city. So if that's helpful, that's what we're really trying to get at, is using that kind of construction material which allows rainwater to go through the cracks and discharge into the ground. I don't know, Chair, if that's helpful or not, but that's my experience.
I agree with Larry. Also, is it beyond the material? Actually, my backyard is actually paved with non-permeable pavers, but because of the construction, you put gravel bed rather than sand bed, and for about 20 years it never floods. Everybody else backyard floods, but mine doesn't flood. So it does take some water. The gravel gradually the water will retain and then gradually drain.
Yeah,
and I think it's a good environmental. If everybody does that, I think that will improve the drainage in the area, I think.
Yeah, it's a specific product called HPB, which is initials for something very technical, but it's basically 1/4-inch ground or crushed gravel.
Crushed stone, yes.
Okay, so we've located Maria Bellata, so we should hear from her before we go any further. Ms. Bellata?
Yes, hello.
Yes, could we have your name and
Hello.
address for the record, please?
My name is Maria Bilotta, and the address is 60 Appleton Avenue. And I have been here throughout the morning listening to all the proposals.
Yes, well, we need your comments on 24 Glenhurst Avenue.
Okay, thank you. I'm calling regarding the deck. There was nothing sent out regarding this proposed deck that is already partially in place. The grade, I would like to know the grade of the posts that are currently there, because that ties in with the height of the fence that they're proposing to put on the west wall, or their east wall, and my west wall. It would be up to at least maybe 10 feet high, and that would in turn block the natural light coming in to 22.
Do you have any relationship to 22 Glenhurst?
Yes, I'm the daughter of the owner.
Oh, so you're speaking on behalf of your parents?
Yes, I am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so...
Thank you, and go ahead.
So these issues were not settled last night with the owner of this property?
It really wasn't completely settled. She said she would look into it, but she could not assure me of anything. So to me, that's not really something concrete. I mean, I appreciate her having the conversation with her, and I spoke to my mom regarding this matter, and she would like something concrete as to the height of the fence and why the posts that already are in place with the planks there, why they are at the grade that they are, when I heard or I was told that they should only be at least 2 feet high. But can you confirm to me how high they actually are?
No, is that your only concern? Because we can go back to the applicant and let him comment.
That was one of them. The other one was with regards to being set back from the wall of 22 of Glenhurst. And we also spoke about making sure that there is no hardware or no fence attached to this property, to 222.
Right, so those are issues that are not before us. They are not variances. They are issues that perhaps you as was done between the neighbors. But let us go back to Mr. Skeen and see what he has to say about these two issues. Mr. Skeen?
Yes, I'm still here. Actually, happily, in regard to one of the panel members' questions, the owner texted me several times, said HPD is what they've installed to date and what they plan to install in the future. So they would be happy if that is even attached as a condition to any decision. And regarding the deck, the most useful drawing for the panel and to answer the neighbor's question, if you go to drawing A4, the one you're on, actually the one you're on, sorry, I don't mean to confuse. Sometimes these are a little confusing. It says existing first floor just over towards the left of the page, and that shows you the first floor level of the house. And then if you slide your way over to the right-hand side of the page, you'll see a dimension line going down 6 inches from the first floor to the top of the deck. Below that, you will then see a dimension line of 3'10", 1.16 meters above grade. You can track those dimensions around, The deck, of course, is in compliance with the bylaw, but just to be, on the nature of being straightforward with the neighbor, that tells you the height of the deck, the finished deck, when it would be built. The issue of the fence, which there's a dimension line in the back, you can see 6'7", 2.0 meters, shows a new fence on deck at east property line. That comes under the fence bylaw, and that is the required maximum. My understanding is that if the fence is a concern, is that the owner of number 24 discussed this last night and is willing to even reduce the fence height down to 1.5 meters if that's of interest to the neighbor. And regarding the building of this, if you flip to drawing A3, which is the page before this, no, go backwards one. Unfortunately, a builder was hired who began this deck without a permit. In other words, there was a permit for the garage, and then they went over and started building the deck. The building inspector told them to stop, and that's when I became involved. So this detailed structural drawing is me. I made this to actually make sense of what the builder had built and also to show how an actual deck would be built. I don't normally draw things in this detail, but if it's any consolation to the neighbor and to the committee members, you can see a note towards the top of the page says existing concrete block wall. It just right in the middle center towards the top of the page. It says existing concrete block wall, and there's a dimension of 16 foot 11, 5.15. That is the neighbor's wall. And if you then look at the drawing carefully, you'll see notes called P1, P2, P3. Those are the posts. This is a very ordinary deck. Those are the posts that will hold up the deck. And I think you can see none of those posts are touching or in any way connected to the existing concrete block wall. And it's the posts that support the weight of the deck. The other lumber that you see, which is named like J1, that's joist number 1, none of those, they may slide alongside the existing concrete block wall as they're permitted to do, but they do not join to it in any way. They are sitting on top of the beams, which are all labeled with Bs, B1, B2. So it's a very conventional deck. The structure goes right down to the ground on the property of number 24 GLENHURST, and it in no way relies on the concrete block wall for any structural support whatsoever. As is the fence, the privacy fence, all railings are attached to the deck and not attached to any property across the property line. I hope that helps. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
All right, sure, that's helpful. Panel, any questions? Okay, we're now in committee. Do we have a comments or a motion? Yes, Nimrod.
Well, my comment was that there is only one variance, and it deals with the rear yard soft landscaping. And I do believe it's minor, although it is a big difference from up to 50%. But I think it's minor. But a way to kind of resolve that would be to add a condition that the driveway located in the rear yard be of permeable material. So I would move that motion.
All right, do we have a seconder? Yim, all in favor?
Yeah, I agree with, I will agree with that. Yeah.
Okay, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 16, 78 Crawford Street. Purpose of this application is to alter the existing 2.5-story detached dwelling by constructing a rear 2-story addition, a rear 3rd-story addition, a front basement walkout, 1st-story and 3rd-story rear decks, and interior alterations for a basement secondary suite. In addition, a rear 1-story detached garage and driveway are proposed. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, correspondence from Transportation Services, and a report from Urban Forestry, and correspondence and support from 83 Shaw Street.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we also have 4 form letters in support from 75, 83, and 98 Crawford Street.
Right. Okay, Mr. D'Oliveira.
Hi, yes, I'm here. My name is Mike D'Oliveira. I'm here acting on behalf of 78 Crawford Street, and I'm with replacement Design located at 911 Davenport Road.
Okay, so we need a brief presentation from you, Mr. D'Oliveira. We have some opposition.
Certainly. So we are seeking relief to the bylaw to create a third floor addition, rear two-story addition, and garage. The variances we are seeking today are in line with similar approvals the committee has made in the past, and our clients have spoken to many of the neighbors in the neighborhood collecting the 5 letters of support that were mentioned, and they also received last night from their next door neighbor at 82 Crawford. The addresses on the street are a little awkward. To the left it's 76, then there's R78, and beside us on the right is 82. So that's the new letter we received yesterday. I just received confirmation that that was uploaded, but you might not see it at the moment. And upon designing the addition, it was important to us and the homeowners that we limit the variances as much as possible. Although it might seem as if we have many given the look of variances, all of these are actually quite minor when you look at the current conditions of the existing property. In many cases, we are simply continuing an existing condition, such as the landscaping in the front of the property and eave setbacks. In fact, even though we have a variance for soft landscaping in the rear, we are actually increasing the soft landscaping from 29%, which is the existing condition, to 38%. Overall, as much of the area in the rear is already hard landscaping, our proposed addition and garage are simply being built over what is already considered to be hard landscape. Although we're asking for 1.1 floor space index, this is a difference of only 22.79 square meters, or 0.1 FSI in relation to the permitted. We are also well below other approvals in the area. The example closest to us is 62 Crawford, similar size lot. They were approved for 1.19. Open it up to any questions the committee may have and to respond to the person in opposition.
Okay, move on to Nelson Saab.
Hi Nelson, you've been unmuted. Can you hear us? You may need to unmute on your end or move closer to the mic. Hi Nelson, I think we hear something very faint on your end. I'm going to try to give you a call. Through you, Mr. Chair, do you want to move on to the next speaker while I give Nelson a call?
They both appear to be at the same address. John Phillips?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great, thank you very much.
Can
I
we have
appreciate
your
your time.
name and address for the record, please?
My name is John Phillips. I live at 76 Crawford Street.
Okay, and what are your concerns about this project?
I'm directly south of 78 Crawford Street. The extension of the home and the loss of soft landscaping for rain runoff is problematic for me and the homes south of 78 Crawford Street. Presently, the backyard of 78 Crawford Street has over 75% coverage of driveway pavers without room for runoff, which are placed side by side from the past owner. With few improvements to decades-old storm sewers and no plans to overhaul in the future, major flood events have caused an overwhelming of the drainage system, which causes our homes to flood. The west side of Crawford Street and the east side of Shaw Street has experienced 2 floods in the last 13 years that I've been here. King Street West Rail and the underpass has been flooded to all traffic in both of these events. After these floods, the alleys are full of drywall from flooded basements. Most neighbors and I have backwater valves, sump pumps that have been no match for the recent flooding events. Many neighbors have had 3 events of flooding, which is a default for renewal of flood insurance. This did not happen prior to Liberty Village's huge population expansion. The lowering of the railway tracks south of King Street West from Bathurst to Dufferin all have contributed to blocking water south of the Garrison River that previously was able to flow to Lake Ontario. The reduction in permanent loss of soft landscape and the expansion of encroachments, addition in floor space and eaves will displace water south to my property as the water runs down Crawford Street, causing more pressure on my house. Before these loss of front yard space, almost 50%, building depth and an additional meter, and front exterior pedestrian entrance, and the proposed eaves projection will all contribute to water displacement. I would like to know from the owners where they plan to route this water. Also, the addition of the 4th floor to the home will change the ability for all future homes in the area to build higher, which I'm not in favor of. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Phillips, what is your relationship with Mr. Saab?
We live together in the house. We're partners.
Okay, that's fine. So we don't need to hear from Mr. Saab. I assume you've addressed all the issues?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Mr. D'Oliveira?
Yes, so our clients are certainly aware of the issues as well. They've had conversations with the neighbor about the water runoffs. And as I mentioned, we're actually increasing the overall soft landscaping in the rear yard. Like I said before, we're currently at 28%. Our proposal is going to bring it to 38%. So right now, the existing soft landscaping in the rear is only about 350 square feet. Our proposal is going to be about 441 square feet. So about 100 square feet more in terms of actual soft landscaping. So this is going to give us some more area to deal with the water runoff. And those are all issues that are going to be brought up by the inspectors on site and throughout the building permit process. So we're aware of the water runoff issues in the area, and we are going to deal with those as the project progresses. Certainly, there are no plans to push the water onto the neighbors. City bylaws don't allow us to do that anyway, so that's all stuff we're going to have to keep in mind as we move forward with the rest of the building permit drawings.
So what's the existing percentage of soft landscaping in the front yard? Because you're proposing 28% when you need 75%.
So the existing soft landscaping in the front is only 35.86%. Overall, the actual number we're talking about doesn't change very much. The front is only 34.08 square feet currently. Our proposal is going to be 26.26. And the only difference really is for a little portion of walkway that needs to be added for the new basement stair walkout. Our basement stairs are going to be located fully within the existing front porch. We're just cutting back a bit of the front porch to allow for the stair down into the basement. And this is pretty common throughout the city. 53, 55, 94, 103 Crawford. All of these are on the street that have similar type of basement walkouts. So this is pretty common, especially throughout this neighborhood. And although we do have a depth variance, this is well in line with other approvals that have been given in the neighborhood as well. 130, 144 Crawford, they have building depths that exceed 20 meters. We're only asking for 18. This is very minor compared to the 17 that's permitted. So I think overall we're keeping the soft landscaping as much as possible here. I know there was a letter of objection posted from, I believe, the same neighbor as well that refers to trees. We've been working with an arborist from the get-go on this project to try and mitigate any injuries to the trees as much as possible. As you can see with our proposed garage, we're losing a corner in order to save that tree. I think we can all agree most people wouldn't be cutting off a bit of their garage if they could avoid it. We've tried to do this to keep the tree in place. We're working with an arborist to do any necessary trimming that needs to happen to allow this to work while keeping the tree in good health. Our clients got possession of the property about a year ago, so no one's really been maintaining the trees on the property for the past few years. So with all the overgrowth, that can also have adverse effects to the trees. So further trimming and working with urban forestry will be able to mitigate any issues and kind of push things forward while still giving the clients what they need. But we also have no variances related to the garage.
Okay.
I think that answers everything they had concerns about and makes reference to the objection.
Any questions? Yes, Nimrod?
My question is, in the rear yard, the site plan shows a walkway running between the proposed garage and the house. what material is the walkway to be?
Right now, we have that proposed as concrete, but we are open to having permeable pavers if that is something the community would like to see. It is an option we can pursue as well.
I was going to ask you the same question in the front, the walkway to the walkout to the basement, if that could be permeable too.
Yeah, that's certainly something that owners would be open to.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Any further questions, panel? All right. Do we have comments or a motion? Yes, Yim? Yim?
Okay. Yeah, actually, I looking through the list of variances seem to be along this, but looking through them, actually quite a few of them are contributed by the existing condition. And I think with Neil's suggestion of permeable pavable walkway, the front and the rear, I am in support of the proposal because this type is a very dense residential area, and I do not think the addition will be out of context. And I think that this create not too much negative impact in the neighborhood.
All right. So, yes, Nimrod?
So maybe if this was to be approved, we could just add a condition that ties any approval to the site plans in terms of, and add a condition that the walkway shown in the rear yard be a permeable material, and
Yes.
the walk out, I think it's the walk out in the front yard be a permeable material as shown on the site plan.
Site plan, yeah, it's true because I noticed that the walkway in the rear yard is being remodeled anyway. So I think maybe we should try to.
Okay, so
Right,
we
to the,
we
site
need a motion.
Yeah, so I'll move a motion then. If Yim, is that okay?
Yeah, it's fine.
All right, to move a motion for approval, subject to conditions from Urban Forestry number 2, and that the walkway located in the rear yard and the walkout located in the front yard as shown on the site plan be a permeable material.
A second. Yeah.
All right, all in favor? Have your approval? Thank you. All right, number 17. 27 Athletic Avenue. Purpose of the application is to alter the existing two-story semi-detached house by constructing a rear one-story addition with a cantilevered second-story addition above, a rear deck, and a partially enclosed front porch. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant. We have support from a property on Greenwood and 2 properties on Billings and several properties on Athletic Avenue. We have correspondence and concern or interest from 91 Billings and 31 Athletic Avenue, in opposition from 29 Athletic Avenue, and 1 opposition without address included. Mr. Mastrandrea.
Yes, good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Leo Mastandrea. I am the agent for the owners at 27 Athletic.
Did we get your address, sir?
My address is 817 Cosburn Ave.
Okay. Can we just have a brief presentation because we have some opposition?
Yes, so we're here today for 3 minor variances. As you mentioned, we submitted 9 letters of support. Our proposal is consistent with what's been approved here at the Committee of Adjustment. If you can refer to my support material, page 1, outlining the floor space index map, page number 1. So there are 14 with floor area that's all above what we are seeking. In addition, community planning had no concerns. Forestry had no concerns. Variance number 3, our partial enclosure of our front porch is consistent with the built form. If you can refer to my page 3 of my support material. All the ones with the X's, which I believe there's 13 or all have existing enclosed porches. And in addition, we comply with the building length, the rear yard setback, the front and rear yard landscaping, and the building height. If you have any questions, I can answer them for you.
So what about the floor space index? I don't recall you mentioning that or
The floor
giving
space
examples.
index is on the map number 1,
Oh, sorry.
which has 14 similar or above what we're seeking, so it is consistent with the neighborhood.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let
just
us,
to- I had
panel,
a
any
question.
questions?
Yeah, I did have a question about the floor space index. Can you just clarify, is the existing floor space index at 0.76 FSI?
Yes, it is.
And what's the size of the proposed addition? How many square meters or square feet is being proposed for the addition?
Total of 28.61 square meters.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Ho, Ms. Chow?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and panel member.
Right, so, Mr.
my name
Ho, we're getting an echo, so I think you have to turn something off.
I don't know how to turn off. Okay. Yeah, maybe my wife have to turn off the other PC. Okay. My name is David Ho. I live at 91 Billings Avenue. Today, I'm concerned about the albatross of the new addition because I don't see on the site plan or the blueprint that they mention it. Because right now, there was a shed built next to the new fence, which do not have the albatross. So the rainwater pour into the sidewalk or the pedestrian street walk, so that it will cause a problem, particularly on the freezing rain. So that's one of my major concerns. So I would like to know whether the builder or architect has that albatross built to the new addition and drain it properly to the grassland. Can anyone answer that question for me, please?
All right, we will come back to the agent when we've dealt with when we've heard your entire presentation and someone else as well. So do you have anything?
Now I continue to present the second concern.
Yes.
Is about the garage door. Now, right now, the owner put the new fence and also a new garage door, which is so close to the walkway as well, so that when we walk around, we don't see the cars coming or not, even when the door is open, when you either go up north or come south. So it is, my concern is that by law, that your garage door cannot be so close to the walkway, because there must be even a short driveway to your garage. Because if you look at the opposite side, they do have that, but they have open. They don't have that enclosure. So this is my second concern. And the third concern is about the addition of the front porch. I just listened to the builder. They said that they enclose the porch. Yeah, there's no problem as long as you go by the city by law. But my question is, do they remove the front yard lawn because you put a new enclosure? Now, in that case, you might reduce the soft land and reduce the absorption of water by the grass. So it might even jeopardize the previous concern that I mentioned is the rainwater drain actually along the whole street.
Well,
So
there's
this
no,
is the last concern.
Mr. Ho, Mr. Ho, there's no variance with respect to soft landscaping, so this project complies with the requirements of the bylaw.
And what about the Evertrust? Is anybody can answer that question? It will be drained properly from the new addition, a proposed new addition?
We're gonna go back to the agent. First, we have to hear from somebody else. Panel, do you
Okay,
have
thank you.
any questions of Mr. Ho? No, okay.
So far, that's it.
All right, thank you. Elizabeth Kaufman?
Good morning, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thanks for hearing my concerns. My name is Elizabeth Kaufman. I live at 29 Athletic Avenue. I'm the attached home in a semi to 27 Athletic Avenue. And my concern is with the second variance, the altered house having a floor space index equal to 0.9 times the area of the lot. So the new addition will be 3 times the current allowance, and it will block my afternoon and evening sunlight. We are a small, urban, dense neighborhood, and we have a little piece of paradise. We have an alley right behind those houses, and so we value every bit of sunshine, blue sky, nature, and green space that we can get. And this addition, the second story, is what concerns me. It will change my view from beautiful nature to building. I feel it will decrease my property value, and realtors have agreed with me on that. And it may set a precedent on our street for these larger homes. I heard the agent talk about how there are many homes in the neighborhood, and there's one on Billings which has recently been done. And it really does affect the neighbor's backyard quite a lot. And most of us bought these small semis knowing they were the small semis that they are. So those are my concerns.
All right, thank you. Any questions, panel? Mr. Mastrandrea?
Hello?
Yes.
Yes. So I've heard the concerns from the neighbors. So what I'd like to do is possibly move the addition, the rear addition, an additional 1 foot towards the west of the property, as opposed to coming right up to the property line at 29, which would reduce our floor space index to 131.28, and it would be at 95%. That would be something that we could make a change if need be. So she also spoke about the afternoon sunlight. Our addition is to the west of 29, so they would be having sun basically all day up until the evening. That's when they would not have the sunlight, but by that time I think it would already be past our addition. And as far as the other neighbors' concerns regarding the eaves trough, part of the building permit process forces us to drain our water on our own property. So yes, we will look into that. and make sure that there's no issues. And again, I'd just like to mention that we do comply with the building length, the building height, and the front and rear yard landscaping.
Any questions, panel? Yes,
So
Nimrod?
I just wanted to clarify, or was the applicant suggesting that they're looking to make a change to variance number 1?
Correct.
So that would be to make it 0.3 meters?
It would be 0. It would be from the east side, the party wall side, number 29. So that would be the east side. So it doesn't affect the variance except for number 2, which would change our floor space to 131.28, and it would be 95 instead of 96%.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further questions? Okay. Do we have a motion? Yes, Larry?
Chair, I think this is actually a fairly modest two-story, well, it's actually a story and a half addition off the rear. It's only, I think he said 28 square meters. I think it's an act of good faith to move the addition off the lot line a little bit. I think that might help a little bit. It's a corner lot, so the impact on the neighborhood and the streetscape is, I think, relatively minor and modest. I think we should, I'm prepared to move a motion to approve this one, subject to altering variance number 2 to instead read the altered house will have a floor space index equal to 0.95 times the area of lot, or 131.28 meters squared.
Yes, Jim?
I will second that.
All right, all in favor? Have your approval. Thank you. Number 18. 1005 St. Claren's Avenue. Purpose of the application is to alter the existing two-story detached dwelling by constructing a front three-story addition, a rear two-story addition, a complete third-story addition with a rear third-story deck, a second-story side addition, and a front porch. We have material submitted by the applicant and correspondence in support from 1003 St. Claren's Avenue.
Through you, Mr. Chair, we also have correspondence from the agent as well as letters in support from 1001, 1007, 1011, and 1041 St. Claren's Avenue.
Thank you. Okay, Paige Reich.
Hi, committee members.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now? Is everything?
Not very well. You need to speak right into the mic.
Can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, committee members. I'm Paige Reisa of Bloom Architectural Design, located at 222 The Esplanade, Unit 1121, Toronto, Ontario.
Sorry, you're a bit muffled. Can you try this again?
Paige Reisa of Bloom Architectural Design.
No, sorry, we're having trouble hearing you.
Paige, if you can maybe use a handheld device or speak closer to the mic, that would probably help. I think there's something wrong with my mic. Not sure if you guys can hear me. Let me reconnect and I'll be right
It
back.
seems to be okay now. Just speak a little louder.
Okay. Paige Reisa of Bloom Architectural Design, located at 222 The Esplanade, Unit 1121, Toronto, Ontario, and I'm the applicant on
Okay, so,
Through you, Mr. Chair, I can give Paige a call, if that would be helpful to get her, just to hear her more clearly.
yeah, well, we just need a little more volume.
Yeah, okay. So Paige, I'm going to give you a call through the number provided.
Hello?
Hi, Paige.
Sorry, there's an echo there. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, it's better.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm not sure if you heard my intro. My name is Paige Reisha, and I'm speaking on behalf of Balloon Architectural Design, and I'm the applicant of the owner of 1005 St. Claren's Avenue, located at 222 the Esplanade, Toronto, Ontario.
Okay, let me just ask you one question. We have an Amy Shepherd listed on our list as an agent, and you listed as an agent. Who is Miss Shepherd, and is she supposed to speak, or?
So Amy Shepherd is the planner, so she's just a support member for this application.
Okay, so you're going to speak, and that's it?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Please give us a brief presentation, because there's a lot of variances here.
Yep, no problem. So the proposed work, so the applicant has applied for a building permit several years ago and is in the middle of construction. However, he decided he wanted to make some changes to that application. So here we are today. And those changes are going to be as follows. So if you can pull up the drawing, and if you can go to, let's start at the main floor, which is A10, drawing A10. So we have a small addition to the front of the house, and it's going to be a porch, a small porch enclosure of what is already existing for the porch. So we're converting that into a foyer. So that's all that's going on the main floor. The second floor has a little bit more of a complicated addition. So that would be on A11, the next page. Thank you. So we are continuing the front porch enclosure area, and that's going to extend up to the second floor and the third floor. So that's at the front of the house. Then we have a side addition that will align with what is already existing on the back of the existing house. We have a bump out here noted in gray, and as you can see, that does align with the existing house at the back. Now there's another addition on the second floor, and that is to extend the existing house by 2.09 meters, and that will extend the full width of the house. And then on A12, we go up one more sheet.
Tiffany.
Thank you. We will be adding a proposed third floor. This third floor will also house a rooftop deck that will go over the partially go over the existing two-story house and the added extension of that.
Right. Okay. Anything else you wanted to say?
No, that would be all the explanation for the design purposes. So I will say we also have submitted a report done by Amy Shepherd the planner. So she has prepared this report and has outlined previous cases in the neighborhood. So we believe that the proposed design is consistent with what has been previously approved by the committee. This is a very diverse neighborhood with several additions and new developments, including 3 stories, increased building heights, reduced setbacks, and front porch enclosures. We've received 5 letters of support from surrounding neighbors, which do include the immediately adjacent properties. We believe that the requested variances are minor and are in keeping with the neighborhood and do pass the 4 tests of the Planning Act.
Right. Thank you. Panel, any questions? Yes, Larry?
I just want, I noticed that the rooftop terrace or the second story terrace is off the family room, so it implies it'll probably get a fair amount of use. To the agent, are you planning to screen that?
Are we planning to screen that? Yes. So the sides will be screened on either side for the adjacent properties, and I believe that's consistent with what is required for the bylaw as well. So that will have a 6-foot fence or screens on either side of that.
Okay, great, thank you.
Is that on the plan?
It is not noted on the plan, but we will revise that to make sure that is.
Okay, so you wouldn't mind if we made it a condition?
Nope, not at all.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
All right, any further questions? Okay, do we have a motion? Larry?
Sure, I'm happy to move a motion. I think this is a reasonable design. I appreciated the walkthrough of each of the floors. It showed quite clearly what is being proposed. I don't think it's out of character with this neighborhood at all, and particularly with the screening on the second story balcony, I think it's quite supportable. So I'm prepared to move a motion to approve, and with the condition that the rooftop deck is screened on both sides.
All right, do we have a seconder? Yes, Yim, all in favor? Are you opposed, Nimrod? Yeah, okay. 3, all against, 3 to 1.
Sorry. Yeah, I was opposed. Yeah.
All right, good. Maybe you want to, just for the record, state your reasons for opposition?
Sure. I didn't realize that there were no other speakers. I thought there was a lot of opposition and maybe somebody would be speaking, but I guess there weren't.
No.
I did have concerns. I thought it was an overdevelopment of the property, and certainly the front extension. I didn't have an issue with the 1-story front porch enclosure, but then extending it up to the 2nd and 3rd floor, to me that felt like it was changing the character of the whole front of the house, and thereby pushing the entire front 3-story wall out, which changes the setback for the rest of that adjacent houses.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Chair, just on that, so Nimrod sort of suggested that he thought there was opposition. I didn't see, did you see opposition, Nimrod, or?
I thought I had heard when this was introduced, I thought there was some comment that there was some opposition letters, and that's why I thought maybe there would be speakers.
No, there's
Chair,
no opposition.
The case? Yeah, I didn't think so. I thought maybe I missed something, but I didn't see
thought
any.
that was there's a list of people who support them.
Oh, maybe that was it. Okay, I misheard then.
The new list of supports.
Okay, thanks for the clarification.
But that's all right. Nimrod had a legitimate concern. Okay, so we move on to number 19, 51 Winthorpe Road, and the purpose of the application is to alter the existing 2-story detached dwelling by constructing a 3rd-story dormer addition with a rear 3rd-story balcony. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant and 10 form letters in support. Mr. Hatch.
name's Jonathan Hatch. I'm representing the clients at, or the project at 51 Winthrop Road.
Okay, and can we have your address, sir?
Yes, 6 Bishop Street, Toronto, Ontario, M5R 1 and 2.
Okay, I don't believe we need a presentation from you. Do you have anything to tell the panel before we go into committee?
No, I think it's a modest application. We're building within the roof line majority, and it's just 2 dormers to minimize any impacts to the street and to stay within the footprint of the current house.
Okay, thank you. Panel, any questions? Okay, we have a motion. Yes, Yim?
Yeah, I look at the application. Yeah, I agree with the applicants that it is the variance is a minor, and it's also is in a corner lot. And I think I do not they have the support of the next door neighbor, and I do not think it will create negative impact in the neighborhood. So I'm in support of the. I move for approval with no conflict. I do not believe that.
Okay, do we have a seconder? Nimrod? Right, all in favor? Have your approval, sir. Thank you. Number 20. 155 Gulfview Avenue. Purpose of the application to alter the existing 2-story townhouse by constructing a rear 2-story addition, a rear basement walkout, and a rear ground floor deck. With this application, we have material submitted by the applicant, reports from planning and urban forestry. Mr. Kerfurst.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Can we have your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, it's Dennis Kerfurst, 68 Whistle Post Street, Toronto, Ontario, M4E3W8.
All right, thank you. I don't think we need a presentation from you. Do you have something to say to the panel before we take it into committee?
Not really, other than the fact that it is a very small existing home. You know, the owners there are a very young couple starting a new family, and I mean, just by the nature of the existing drawings and the footprint of the property, you can see it's probably one of the smallest homes I've ever been in. So it is unique to that extent, and basically it speaks for itself. These people need somewhere to be able to raise their family.
Okay. So staff report suggested a privacy screen on a deck. Do you have any objection to that?
Absolutely not. No, there was currently an existing deck there, which did have the privacy screenings in place, which we will replicate onto the new deck.
Thank you. Panel, any questions? Okay, do we have a motion? Yes, Nimrod.
Yeah, I believe the variances are minor in nature, and I would move approval of the variances subject to conditions from community planning and urban forestry number 2.
All right, do we have a seconder? Larry, all in favor? You have your approval, sir. Thank you. That ends the morning list at 12:44 p.m. We will be back at 2 o'clock.